Studios. I'm sure you all know that because you've been tuning in all week as we've been able to visit with different artists across the country who've been sharing their stories and giving us a really in-depth and personal look about their creative journeys. For those of you who are watching who don't know, I have launched an organization here in Nashville called heArt Studios. We exist to break the generational cycles of abuse and trauma by transforming the heart through creative expression. We do so by partnering with different artists or professionals in the creative field to walk with youth that have been impacted by domestic violence and trauma to share with them their artistic giftings and talents. I cannot wait for this story to unfold with Miss Sherita. She has been one that I told her, honestly, stalking on social media, and she and I have yet to meet in person, but I am so happy that you're here with us, Sherita. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy and crazy, hectic schedule to be here.
No problem. I'm so happy to be asked and happy to be here with you today.
So Sherita joins with us. She's actually here in Nashville, but she has an amazing career of heading up the makeup artist world here in, well, Nashville. But as you'll see from some of her work, it's pretty national. You've gotten to really explore some cool places and be on some crazy gigs with some amazing people.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I always say I'm truly blessed and happy for all the places that my brushes have taken me, where I've been able to work here in Nashville, in the TV and film and music industry. But also, I've traveled with shows. I've had people fly me out for different gigs. And it's just each and every one I'm just grateful for because it's so many great people that sometimes even myself, I can't believe the rooms that I've kind of been able to move through and be a part of.
Amen. I love that you said where my brushes have taken me. I had a degree, I have a degree, haven't used my degree in fashion. And so I know a little bit about the hair and makeup and costuming world, but my favorite has always been the makeup and just being able to play. And I so appreciate that you took that on as a career. When did you know you wanted to become this amazing, successful makeup artist?
Well, it's kind of funny because I actually started off, I took cosmetology in like high school. And it was one of those things where I took that there, but I was more interested in hair at that time than makeup. Even though it makes sense now because I've always loved to like paint and draw. And I was like that kid that would win like drawing contests and things like that when I was younger. But with makeup, honestly, I wasn't allowed to touch it or wear it. So that kind of made me infatuated with it. So I would do everybody else's makeup because I couldn't do my own because my parents wouldn't allow me to. So it's just kind of one of those things that kind of like organically kept coming back to me. Like my background after I left high school, even though I took cosmetology as a trade there, I went on to pursue a career in marketing and business. And makeup and hair, it just kept coming back. It just kept coming back. And I was fortunate enough to be an assistant to an artist at one time who was working on a commercial and he did not do hair. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll help you. And for him, he kind of brought me into the realm of what I do now because at that time all I knew was that you worked in a salon and that wasn't really the avenue I wanted to work in. So when I kind of saw the commercial world and TV and things like that, literally I feel like I just had a moment like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, even just kind of working as a team and just seeing how they put everything together. I was just like fascinated with it. And I was really lucky because he was a former instructor at a makeup school. So I was kind of able to learn up under him. And then once I stopped studying with him, I would go to Chicago and LA, New York, take classes. I was kind of like a sponge. And it's kind of like 12 years later, and this is all I do. Well, not 12, hold on.
Wow.
Now it's 14. It's 14. I gotta add some couple of years to it.
So you started when you were 6, is that right? Because girl, what? Oh my gosh, what a cool and inspiring story to know that like you were saying you weren't even able to touch a brush. And
Yeah.
so that you just followed in sort of just footsteps of other people who were doing it, but you really pursued to get to where you are today 14 years later.
Yeah,
And
because like for me, because sorry to kind of age myself a little bit, there wasn't really a YouTube like that. Like how people now, I love the artists now how they are able to like learn so much from other people. Like we didn't have that. Like we didn't have Instagram, we didn't really have YouTube. Like you really had to go. Especially Nashville didn't have anything for as education. So you really had to like leave your city and go find the people who are doing what you wanted to do and like either pay them to take a class or like, beg them to assist them just to kind of get the information to do what you needed to learn to do.
yeah, and I think that that's something that our youth today, our society today is just they don't comprehend that we had to go to
Yeah,
places to learn. It didn't just happen in our fingertips. And
no.
there's been this message across the board this week from different artists who have, I'd say, like, if there's one piece of advice you could give somebody, they say, use your social media for your advantage.
Use it.
But you didn't have that when you first started. And so, what were some of those challenges and those barriers that you were coming up against that really, ultimately made you out who you were today?
Um, wow, I would say the biggest things would be like really getting the information. And then I knew that I was passionate about working in TV and film and celebrity in the music realm of that things. And with that, it's a very, even now, it's still, there's a lot more information than when I started, but it's still the biggest hurdle with that is learning how to get started and what to do and how to network and how to get your foot in the door. So I say that was kind of the hardest thing, just kind of figuring that part out. And also, I would say Nashville. I had to really travel and work outside of my market a lot. Like I worked in Chicago a lot. I would travel work to Atlanta because Nashville was not the Nashville it is now. It's like really cool to be here now. But back then, it was not as much work, especially if you was like a newcomer. So I appreciate those experiences now because I have so many amazing artists and friends who let me assist them or who I've worked with in other places that are like lifelong friends that still refer gigs to me and vice versa, that I kind of appreciate that part of the journey now.
Yeah, and there's nothing to be said about a really good apprenticeship. Like you
Yeah,
really don't learn unless you're learning hands-on. And I think that's such a banner statement for the creative world in general. And in the studio and heart studios mission is to be a space where they're able to just use their hands. These children might not have access to anything creative in their life. They might
yeah,
be facing really, really hard circumstances in their home, whether it be domestic violence or financial hardship or just circumstances outside their means that they can't fix right now. We want to be a space where we're able to say, hey, come alongside these mentors. You're not going to find it on YouTube. You're not going to find it on social media. You're going to find it right here in the heart of the studio. And that might be in a makeup studio. That might be in a hair salon. That might be in a dance studio or film studio. All of the arts encompassed. We want to be able to be a space for our youth to come in and say, wow, I can do that and I can do it with them and I can do that and I can do it with them. And just like you took on these assistant or you took on a role as an assistant to really learn. And that's sort of what we want to model because we're losing that in our society. And so I love that that's what you did to get to where you are today. And Sharita, I would love to just, first of all, congratulate you. You were talking about being the first female African American makeup artist in the union. And that's a huge feat to overcome in itself. And I'm
yeah.
honored that you're here talking to me about it today, but I would love to know what that looks like for you now.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm not. I'm the only current one. There was one person before me, but I'm the only current member right now. In the state of Tennessee, who is African American, that's a makeup artist. And for me, it was like one of those things where I would say for me, I would say the hardest part was getting people to recognize my gift um, and recognize that I'm an amazing makeup artist and I can work with any color, any skin tone, anything that you throw at me. So don't just hire me for productions where maybe everybody's African American. Like I can work on you know what I'm saying, hire me for every production just because I'm an amazing makeup artist. And so that was my thing for a while, especially I'm in Nashville. And you know, I'm African American and I work in country music. So 90% of the time, I mean, none of those people look like me. I mean, there's a few people and I've worked with them, but it was like one of those things of getting people to recognize my gift first, and recognize that, and letting my gift kind of open a door for me. And so I would say that was kind of like the biggest hurdle. And then also finding ways to network and work with people. Because many times it would be a call sheet full of 50 people, and I would be the only African American on the whole in the entire group. So it's just kind of really opening those doors. And sometimes people do not know what is available to them or the kind of work that they're able to do unless they see it. So that's one of the things I really kind of advocate for a little bit, because even me growing up, the career I had, I didn't really understand that that could be done. Because for me, if you did makeup, you worked in a salon or you worked at a counter. My very first encounter of me explaining to my parents that I wanted to pursue a career in makeup and leave my marketing career was very funny, because I mean, it took a while for me to make my mom realize I didn't want to be the Avon lady. Nothing wrong with Avon, but
But there's a different world out there.
it's
Yeah.
a different world. Like it's something totally new. And then she doesn't. Again, I came up from a family that did not wear makeup, so they were like totally confused about what I was doing with my life,
Mm.
and that people actually pay people to do this. But now it's kind of 360. If she sees people, because you see people filming and doing things in Nashville a lot more now, so she sees it. She's like, "Oh, I saw a crew. I wonder if were you working on that?" Or she'll like, "I walked up to them and asked them if they knew you," and I'm like, "You can't do that."
And that's so like our mom, like to just
Yeah,
walk up to a crew and they see a production rep. That's
because he
amazing.
figures I work with everything now, and I'm like, I wish that was the case, but it's just one of those things of really kind of once I was able to see it and know that it was possible, I was able to kind of go after it. But even after me going after it, it was kind of entering the realm where a lot of people did not look like me. And so it was kind of opening up other people's eyes of, you know what I'm saying? Because it's one of those industries of people you know and you network and kind of rehire those same people. So it's just like, even though we have common ground and vision and, you know what I'm saying, gifts, and let that be the common denominator versus what the person looks like.
Oh, amen. Amen. We
Yeah.
have certain gifts. Let that be the common denominator versus the color of our skin. And thank you. Thank you for that. I feel like that needs to be the testimony of just everything in life. And I'm just again in awe by how much adversity you've overcome since your young age into where you are today, because I know that these type of industries, and especially union, and when you're trying to get your name out there, it's pretty cutthroat. And
It's
so
really
I it's really hard. And people who are watching this are like, well, Nashville's fine. They have all the things now. Well, we didn't. We
we
didn't
didn't.
even 10 years ago. You know, Atlanta was the city to be in because they were the big hub of film. It wasn't where we are today. And for you to say your face is in country music, like first of all, I'm a country music lover. So all props to you. But I just saw that you worked on a music video that is now one of my favorites. And I was like, I was so proud to see your name on that, name attached to that.
I was fortunate enough to be able to work with like the talent and the actors for their video. So it was a video with Miranda Lambert and also Elle King. And it was one of the funnest videos that I worked on in a minute, because the two directors that are over that, I love them because they remind me of the old school 90s videos where it was like more of a story and a concept, and it kind of carries you through these things. So when they approached me about it, and was telling me even with the actors of what they wanted them to do and what them to look like, and it was like an 80s night, 90s type of feel to it. So it was like all these bright, crazy colors, and like these looks like these 80 prom dresses, and like it was basically a big country wedding. I absolutely loved it. I loved it. It was a really fun video. If you watch it, it's a fun video to watch, and it was a fun video to be a part of.
I love that. And Shruti, you had said something earlier that is actually what brought you to the makeup world, and that's that you're an artist on paper. And that's an incredible gift to have in itself, just being able to put a pencil to paper, a paintbrush to paper, and express yourself in that form. And it sounds like you have just natural creative giftings. How have those giftings helped you?
I would say those giftings have helped me in the way that I always say, like, people who are creatives, we kind of really think with a different part of our brain. We kind of see things a little bit differently. And even like for us, like that creative part of us is like something we kind of have to get out, or it's like our escape and our things of like we love and like to do. So for me, even quarantine, um, I was like a little bit going nuts because that creative part of me was not getting out. And so it was really great being home, but I was like one of those people, I need to create something. So I'm like, even in my downtime, like with my kids, I'm like, okay, let's paint something, let's make something, let's go do, or even I've taken up photography and I love like, you know what I'm saying? I just have to kind of do something with my hands. Um, because that's just love to see those little visions in my head, and anybody who's a creative will kind of get it, just seeing those come to life. It's something really euphoric about that, so it's really really great. Yeah, I'm also the person, if you're decorating your house, I will take over, I will create a plan, I will like, I'm like, let's get this done. Like
I need
I'm
you
like
in
that
my
person.
life. I need
Yeah.
you in my life. I was going through, I think, a similar trauma through the pandemic of my career prior to mine just jumping in and launching this was events. And I was an event designer. And so to not be able to do that for a really long time, by the time Christmas rolled around, I was like, Mom, get out of the kitchen. I got this. Like I'm doing the table layouts and I'm doing this. And so we just as a creative person, we by our bloodline need to be creating.
Yeah,
And I think there's a world out there that they might not know they have it because they don't have the opportunities to express it. And we
exactly.
want to be that for them. We want to say, hey, here's a paintbrush, try it out. You might not like it. If you don't like it, there's a photography studio right next door. Get behind the camera, try that out. You don't like that? There's a dance studio down the hall. Go shake a leg and just see. And it sounds like you're doing that right now as a professional. You're just dabbling into different creative elements. And what a great opportunity for you just to find expression. Even in
Yeah.
our day and age, I don't think our age group slows down enough to say, what is it that really makes me happy? Or where can I really release? Because I'm really pent up right now and I need an outlet. Our claim to fame is that we turn to different things to fill that void.
Yeah.
We want to champion in turning to positive outlets to fill a void that maybe youth are going through right now, whether it be depression, abuse, substance abuse, trauma, trafficking, any type of thing that they're going through. Typically they're going to turn to a negative alternative to release, and we want to be there to be one to catch them in the fall, but then to turn them on a positive path. And healing through creative expression starts there. And I would just love to know, Sharita, have there been instances in your life where you've seen, your giftings for you, obviously, but how have you used your giftings for others or for others to see the power that they have?
How I have used my gifts is I really kind of, I'm one of those people that I understand the struggles that I kind of had in the beginning, and the even the industry of what I wanted to do, and how hard it was to figure that out on my own. Because I mean, even though I had mentors, there were not a lot of people here. A lot of my mentors were like outside of Nashville. So one of my things I am a really champion about is kind of mentoring others, offering trainings. When my schedule allows, I do have classes and different things of like how to get in industry, how to do this, how to do that, and try to really make them affordable because a lot of things are really expensive. Um, and really kind of like opening door. I'm one of those people that will open a door, open a window for somebody else to kind of give them their first opportunity. Or if it's something that I know that I cannot do, I will totally. I'm one of those people that will seek out and find somebody else who I think fits that mold, or who I think it'll be a really great opportunity for to get them in the door, and just kind of inspiring others. Because again, if you don't see it, and I think it's really great about what you guys are doing, if you don't see it, if you don't touch it, if you're not able to like experience it firsthand, you'll never know if that's actually something that really works for you. Because I feel like we all have multiple gifts. It's just which one you want to pursue and really speaks to your heart. So, but you will never know that if you never actually get to, and no one ever actually gives you a chance. So that it may not be huge to some people, but for me, that's my way. I love to give back and just really when I can. And then a lot of people hit me up in my DMs and different things all the time. And I'm happy to kind of answer questions where I can.
There aren't a ton of people who are as busy and booked up as you are that are able or that will ever take the time out to take a step forward and just give back. And it sounds like you're really out there paving the path for up and comers this day and age. And has it given back? I mean, that might sound selfish, but I feel like how has it blessed you? Have you been able to receive a little bit of the give back?
Um, I would say I'm just a big energy and a kind of calmer person. So I'm like, whatever you put back there, it usually comes to you like twofold. So it kind of comes back. So I mean, I wouldn't say sometimes directly, but I will say I I acknowledge and know that I am very blessed, and especially in a time of like COVID and quarantine and things like that. Work has been really, really steady, and I've had the chance to work on a really amazing projects. Um, and I grant some of that to hard work, but it's also because I feel like I'm constantly giving to others. And so in return, it's constantly giving back to me. And my dad was like that. He's one of those persons that helps everybody. And that's kind of like what I've gotten from him. And that's
Oh.
what he said. He never wants for anything because he's always helping everybody else. So it's kind of one of those things.
You had posted a while back about how some gigs had gotten canceled, and then the one that you had got picked up for was like 10 times the blessing of the other two that had been canceled, and you got to work with, like Mary J. Blige and incredible artists like that. And so for you to recognize that you feel it's directly related to your giving back, I think that that's something to be said to a society who's so in it for themselves, and we don't take the time to slow down to volunteer or to give back, whether it be our time or finances. And so I just really respect you, Sharita. You have just gotten a number one fan. And
First of all, I have to say you have done your homework because you know actual post everything. So yeah, that was a thing that happened. Like I had got passed up for a couple of things, and I was just like, it was one of those slow periods. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, what the heck? I'm like, everything is like I was booked for was like falling through, and then I had a really great friend and producer that I love approach me about he was working on producing a film, and they needed someone to work up under the department head and also work with Mary J. Blige. And so it just so happens all the gigs that I got canceled on was the perfect it left my schedule perfectly open so that I could say yes to that film. Because otherwise I would have been booked and I wouldn't have been able to do it. And at that time I totally didn't understand it. And I'm like, okay, God.
you better fill this gap, buddy.
It's like, you know what? Like, I have a little too much time on my hands. I know, you say you got this. But like that was one that like totally came through. And it was like the greatest experience because I learned a lot from working with her. But she's one of my favorite singers and still one of my favorite people that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And it turned out to be a really great film. The department head, I got along really great with her. And it was just a really great experience. And it kind of really made sense in the end why it turned out like that. But yeah, in the beginning of it though, before I was hired for that film, I was like, this is looking it's looking a little bad here.
Time, I would
Well,
love to say or ask if there was something that maybe, that you could speak into somebody else that's watching this video who's thinking that they're on the path of life, but they want to make a pivot and get into this industry. What's something that you could say to them? Or, even think back to the 12-year-old that was Sherita, and what would you say to her?
um, that's a good one. So for someone that was thinking of kind of maybe entering this career, or what I would even tell to my 12-year-old self, thinking back, um, I would say trust your gut. I would say trust your gut and listen to the things, and this could kind of go for any career. Listen to the things that really speak to your heart, speak to like what you love to do. And I kind of put this into my kids as well. Because those are the things that are going to fulfill you more than anything. So even if it doesn't make sense to other people, even though makeup is really popular now, it was not back then. Um,
Yeah.
but it's still a really hard career because it is a business. It's not just like blushes and lipstick. You really have to understand like who you want to work with, who your client is, what kind of realm you want to go into it. Um, and I would say to them, just if you go into the celebrity TV and film realm of things, um, just really, you have to, it's one of those things where you really have to believe in yourself, if that makes any sense, because you're working with a lot of different people and a lot of different spaces. And it's really believing in yourself and your ability of what you can do, because some opportunities and things you may not feel like you're ready for. Sometimes I've been in the rooms with people who are like Grammy Award winners and Emmys and people who are CEOs and presidents of different organizations and like world famous athletes. But at the heart, I mean, people are people, trusting your gift and your gut. And just really don't be afraid to go after what you want, even if it's something that then doesn't make sense to other people, because this journey was meant for you and not anybody else.
Amen. Our hope is that with that question, we were able to take some of these videos and share it with the kids that come through the doors. And someday you're going to have a new admirer that wants to be just like you. And maybe even someday they'll be able to meet you. But if not the case, then we definitely want to share those messages with the kids and say, if you can build up the confidence in your giftings, if you can build up this craft and really have a desire for a profession in the creative arts, we're here for you. And we're going to show you the tools, the resources, and the steps you need to take to get there. And we hope to have artists like you come alongside them. And so if you're watching this message and you're watching this video and you are an artist in the industry, whether it be the fashion industry, hair, makeup, fashion design, costuming, set design, anything like that, or on the other realms, photography, film, song, music, dance, like basically anything where you're using that right side of your brain to create, we're talking to you, and we would love to hear from you if this mission speaks to your heart. Reach out, send us an email, DM us, as we're always looking for artists to partner with our mission. And twofold, if you're in a place where this mission speaks to you on a financial level and you're wanting to sponsor, we are definitely doing that right now. We have opportunities where you're able to sponsor a specific studio or sponsor a child that's going through the program and watch their journey of healing.
I think it's amazing what you guys are doing. It's the same stuff I try to instill in my own kids. It's just really just giving people the opportunity, because so many of the arts are being cut out at schools. So kids who may have a gift or be especially gifted in that area, they may never even be able to find it because they never actually get a chance to, you know what I'm saying, practice it or have it developed or even anyone notice it because it's not on the curriculum of like the everyday school schedule
The
or
reading, writing, and
extracurricular activities.
arithmetic. Yep.
Yeah. So it's not that. And so, and that's where some people soar, where in other areas they might not. So I think what you guys are doing is really, really amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I so appreciate you. I respect you so much. I'm a huge fan. And I hope to meet you in person someday. I know we're in Nashville, but this
Yeah.
whole crazy schedule and COVID thing.